to the Purple Sector's F1 podcast. My name is Kunal Shetty, and joining me on the podcast, as always, is unbiased fan and voice of reason on the podcast, Shashank Shetty. Welcome back to the show. And also joining us in the fan zone today is a very special guest from the Netherlands. He's our youngest ever guest on the podcast, and he's what I call a reasonably newly minted Ferrari fan. He's a cousin brother of ours, Mayank Shetty. Welcome to the show. The fact that you're coming from behind enemy lines is something for me, not for Shashu. Shashu's an unbiased fan, but coming from behind enemy lines, I thought it would be a great idea to have you on the podcast. Get your journey as an F1 fan, and also get a inside scoop on what's happening in the Netherlands, and just get a feel for how the sport is in a country which is known to be fascinated by F1, and also home to the F1 world champion. So welcome Mayank. How are you feeling? Excited, nervous,
Happy to be here.
happy?
Yeah, like Kunu said, I think my journey into F1 started back in 2006, 15 or 14, where I used to be
Hmm.
a very avid Sebastian Vettel fan growing up. So 2010 to 2014, when he won those world championships, I was a big fan. Then when he made the move
Hmm.
to Ferrari, I moved along with him. And ever since then, I've stuck with Ferrari. Now I'm a Leclerc fan. Not
Hmm.
very popular back here in the Netherlands, but yeah, it is what it is.
Oh, Leclerc's not popular, and I actually this is news to me that you moved with Vettel to
Well,
Ferrari
yeah,
in terms of your support for Ferrari. I thought you
yeah.
started off
Well,
only as a Ferrari fan. Okay, okay.
no. So, I mean, I didn't really follow F1 too much when I mean, when
Hmm.
Vettel was winning championships, I was probably what, 11 or 12 years old. So, yeah, and
Yeah,
I was not
young.
really into F1 back then. So, I moved
Hmm.
into Ferrari, and then I think my main when I really started following the sport was when I was probably 17, 18, back in college. And yeah, that's when
Hmm.
I really became a big supporter. Before the Drive to Survive happened, by the way.
Oh, yo, before Drive to Survive Janta.
Yeah,
Interesting, interesting.
I take great pride in that.
Yeah. So when we decided to bring you on the show as a newly minted
Mhm.
I was saying Ferrari fan, but also a fairly newly minted Formula One fan. My
Yeah,
first question to you was going to be around, now with something you've already cleared, saying that you started off supporting Vettel during his years of
yeah,
winning, when obviously there was no Drive to Survive. And
yeah,
then, you moved with Ferrari, and so Drive to Survive, I think, came in 2016, if I'm not mistaken. 16 or 17 is when the first season started. So
yeah,
you were
probably.
already indoctrinated into the sport before Drive to Survive came.
Indeed.
So yeah, that's an interesting picture, an interesting journey, because I would think again, as a young fan, most of the fans who are get into the sport get through the route of Drive to Survive. So that's an interesting insight into where you started. And
Yeah,
actually,
indeed.
this my and
Yeah,
in
go ahead.
fact, one of my follow up questions actually was going to be like, which I think you've kind of already answered, is your support for Ferrari. It's obviously you've come on the show also with your Ferrari merchandise and gear on point, which is it's always good to see for me. That my guys are always coming. It's almost like we're calling also people who are only F1 fans, but I mean Formula One fans. I mean Ferrari fans. I'm sorry, but we're looking to get also some fans from Red Bull and Mercedes going forward. But it's always good to see one of your own. So
Which is
going
quite,
back
I don't
then,
know, which is quite surprising. I would have thought that a lot of new fans would have been fans of Red Bull. because Red Bull has been dominant for the last
Mm,
so many years,
Yeah,
or even
but
or
I
even Mercedes. But it's great to see that people are not just jumping onto some bandwagon and saying that, okay, I'm going to support so and so person and so team just because they're winning. So it's yeah, it's
winning.
great to see that it's also people are looking at characters per se, and not just somebody who's a winner or a champion. So
yeah,
good way to get into the sport, Mike. Not just jumping onto Lewis Hamilton's bandwagon.
indeed. So I have a lot of friends who, they've come into the sport. When I was watching F1, for example, in college, people used
Mm,
to say, how do you have fun watching F1? Because it's just cars going around in a circle for 50, 60 laps.
mm,
But so they
mm,
didn't understand the sport back then, and the same people today, I see them, they've
mm,
watched Drive to Survive for 2 years and they're newly Lewis Hamilton fans or George Russell fans. So I do, or
mm,
Max Verstappen fans indeed.
mm,
So yeah,
mm, mm.
it's really strange what effect it has had on the masses, Drive to Survive. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it only helps the sport grow further.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. I think that again, I'm reiterating myself, but to just look at someone who's, again, I keep coming back to the fact that as a younger fan, it's good for us who have been in the sport for 20 plus years to get your perspective, get your journey, and the fact that you again come from Drive to Survive is something very fascinating to me. And the fact that your peers, I mean people your age group, kids your age group, their initiation into the sport is through Drive to Survive. I mean, I would say a majority would be through Drive to Survive. So the fact
Completely
that,
agree. I would
yeah,
say
so the
like more
and
than 70, 80% is through Drive to
correct,
Survive.
correct.
Yeah.
So your friend circle, your friends group, your peers who currently follow the sport started off not asking you like what's the fascination with cars going around in circles, to now being self-proclaimed, what do you say, pundits of the sport who will tell you just they like a certain driver, or like you said, the usual suspects would be Max Verstappen,
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton, or
Yeah.
maybe the left of center guys don't like any driver and just wanted Gunther Steiner to be in every race talking and talking some crazy shit and just abusing people. So yeah, yeah, it's an interesting journey.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can, given that we are in the off season, and in fact things are really picking up.
Yeah.
Something that Sashu mentioned in terms of, just threw out a name, obviously, but let's quickly, given that it's the podcast is also happening at a time where the last 10 days have been quite intense in terms of news happening around the world of Formula One. So, Mayank, let's start with you as a Ferrari fan. And as a Leclerc fan. So the two parts to this question. Firstly, what was your initial reaction to Lewis's announcement? What did you think of it? Firstly, as a Ferrari fan. So that's question one. Question two. Let's hear you out on this, and then I'll give you the question two.
Sure.
So, what were your thoughts, and what are your if you look in the crystal ball, what how do you see this going?
Well, so like you said, there are two ways of looking at this. Firstly, the best way I would compare this would be that one, you join a team because you want to be a world champion, one, you join a team
Hmm.
because you're a clear number two. Now, in Hamilton's case, I don't think he's joining Ferrari to just be the number two. I think he's there to win. It's not like, I don't think Shashu's gonna like this, but it's not like when Kimi Raikkonen joined Ferrari and Vettel was the clear number one and Kimi was kind of the number two. I don't see this as a similar situation, but yeah,
Yeah,
am
yeah,
I
it is what
happy?
it is, man. You have to be honest about it. He was a number two.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't see it as something like that. I think Hamilton is here to win. Whether I'm very happy with it, I don't think so. I mean, my first impression to it was I was very surprised that Lewis decided to make this move. I honestly thought he would end his career at Mercedes. So it was quite surprising that he made the move. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it, honestly.
So
I'm still
yeah, you're
unbiased.
kind of on the fence. You don't know how to feel about it almost.
No, so yeah, so I'm a Leclerc fan. So for
Hmm.
me, when I see Lewis coming into the team, I see that as a potential
Hmm.
threat to Leclerc ever
Hmm.
world champion. So that's my way of looking at it. And yeah,
Hmm.
I I think it's not a good thing for Ferrari because yeah, you have two drivers who want to go for the world champion. There's no clear number two, and I don't think in that kind of an environment you can see success. Like that's my way of looking at it, at least.
Interesting. Before we go to the second follow-up question, which we will get into, Sashio, I want to really know your views on this because you have less skin in the game per se in terms of you being the unbiased fan. So as the unbiased fan, it's always great to hear from you what you thought of this move. From the outside in rather than from the inside. Very emotional. You know, thinking from the heart kind of thing. So what's your take on this and how do you see this panning out?
Yeah, I think as an unbiased fan, like you introduced me as, it was extremely surprising on so many levels. If I look at it from Lewis's point of view, it is surprising. When I look at it from a Mercedes point of view, it was surprising that they let Lewis go, or would have even considered letting Lewis go. Then, like Mayank said, even looking at it from a Ferrari point of view, it was surprising because, like he said, when you have two alphas or two number ones, more often than not, and I would say 80-90% of the time, it is going to be really difficult for a team to manage two alphas. And what will happen, I think, most probably is they'll just end up taking points off each other. And I think Lewis, from his point of view, at what age he is right now, he's going to make a change only because he wants to win the world championship. It's not because he probably wants to be a number two, or if he wants to develop a team or be a mentor to another F1 driver or upcoming F1 drivers. So he's purely going to Ferrari with the primary goal of winning the world championship. So that's going to be a little bit of a tricky part for Ferrari. uh, and also, I feel like it was surprising for me because I thought Lewis is not next 2 years or 4 years, but I felt like Lewis's next 10, 15, 20 years was not very clear, but it was kind of laid out for him, for the Mercs, and probably in my mind also, I thought Lewis is going to probably end with Mercedes, then probably do some kind of other racing for them, and then afterwards, for sure, I thought he's going to come back in a more administrative, or like a brand ambassador, uh, probably also, like, he's already involved with a lot of social causes.
Yeah, we've lost him, so we'll get him back. uh Again, unfortunately, the reality of internet speeds and things not working out. So I think I'll just quickly give my thoughts on this because this has been on everyone's mind, especially as a Ferrari fan. It's something that's played on my mind as well. And I agree with you. I think, Mayank, I think you don't know how to feel about it, or at least that was my reaction to begin with. What I will say, though, is after trying, spending some time, processing it and understanding, both sides, the both sides being from Lewis Hamilton's side and from Ferrari's side as to how this this
Yeah, sorry
this
guys. I seem to have
yeah.
again
It's fine.
gotten
Yeah,
disconnected.
cool,
Yeah.
cool. So I was just giving my thoughts, but let's close what you think about this, and then we'll go to, as from unbiased to highly biased fan. Let's see, what are the differences
Okay, I think I got
in
through
the way we
most of
think.
my points, but I just want to add another point where I feel
Mm,
like Lewis is also involved with a lot of social causes, etc., etc. And I don't know
mm,
if Ferrari, who's kind of a conservative team, how they will, be I don't know, in tune with Lewis's social causes, because Ferrari to me comes across as if for a lack of a better word, it's a very conservative and a like a white team, if I can use that word.
correct.
So I
Look at
just
this
don't know
guy,
how
man, man.
everything fits into it, because somehow
Mm,
yeah, I mean, Lewis has been very vocal about the whole the
mm,
inclusive culture, etc., etc., which I don't think
mm,
Ferrari is. I don't know, something that's there in
Yeah,
their
I see your point.
it's high up there in
Like
their
for
priority list, because if you know, Ferrari was, I think, one of the first, sorry, the last teams to even be on board with the Drive to Survive, because they're just very closed about a lot of stuff.
yeah,
mm, mm. No,
indeed.
I think Mayak, I think you were also in agreement with that point. I think what Shash
I
was making
completely
at the right
agree.
at
I
the end.
think
Yeah.
it is still right now as well for me to see Lewis Hamilton in a red overalls. It's
Mm.
just very,
Yeah, it just
something
doesn't
about
make
that is
sense.
off. Doesn't make
Yeah,
sense. Yeah,
it doesn't sit.
doesn't sit
Uh,
right.
yeah. No, no, like I said, like I was just coming to again, as a highly biased fan, I was in the same boat. Like Mayank mentioned, not too sure what I felt about it, but over time, after processing the information and seeing it from both sides, Ferrari side and Lewis Hamilton side. So from I look at it that I look at it this way, like so you have Lewis. I think at the end of the day, I think going back to something that Vettel spoke about many times is everyone's a Ferrari fan, and if you're in F1, even if you're a seven-time world champion, five-time world champion, whoever you are, there is a certain small, at least a very small part of you that always wants to drive for Ferrari. Now, for me, what Lewis has done by making this decision, by breaking off with Mercedes and doing those possible 2 years, is if he is able to bring Ferrari to the top by winning a world championship, so it becomes his eighth and a return to for Ferrari to the top of F1. He basically cements his legacy probably as the best driver of all time. For him, he is trying to basically seal that legacy, saying that he wins his eighth, Ferrari wins its first since Kimi Raikkonen, and then he goes out in the sunset as probably the best driver of all time. Even though, I would still, be as a Ferrari fan
Sure.
from the past, for me, Michael is Michael. But that is, I think, his feeling that, this is where I absolutely 100% seal my legacy as the greatest. So that's, I think, a mouth-watering prospect for him. For Ferrari, going back to, I think, a couple of points that you guys made. The first point is for them, uh, Lewis is a highly, highly marketable asset. Ferrari's, head, which is John Elkin, for him, unfortunately, not unfortunately, I would say, I said one of the main things as the head of an organization like that is to make sure you have extremely high valuation, and your investors are all getting the money. So that Lewis brings in brands, Lewis brings in marketability to a completely different planet. So I think that is also one of the reasons he wants to bring him in, and it's going to be a short-term contract. It's it's 25 and 26. I think after 26, either he wins and bows out, or he drives a Ferrari and bows out. Either way, he a realizes possibly a dream of every F1 driver, or he
Mm.
seals his legacy and bows out anyways. The problems which will definitely come, which Mayank, you touched upon as well as Shashu touched upon, were you can't have two alphas in the team, and as much you know, uh, as there is a little bit of not aji baji, but there were times where science, between Sainz and Leclerc, from last season at the Italian Grand Prix, things got a little feisty at least. But when it comes to Lewis versus Leclerc, it's going to be, yeah, there is cause for, there's reason to be concerned about how that equation is going to go about. But if anyone can be a little cool, calm, collected in terms of not reacting too much to the situation, would be Charles, because I think what they've told Charles, I think this is my insight into this, is you get Lewis to possibly come in and with his expertise of building cars, come in and give the right inputs to get Ferrari from a car which will probably win, I'm guessing, in 24, 25, a few races, maybe 4 to 5 races. I'm hoping at least 4 to 5 in 24 and 4 to 5 in 25, not 4 to 5 across two seasons, but
Not.
his expertise of building world championship cars or just being there will possibly get them to a point where 2026, where again the assumption across the F1 in F1 circles and pundits is Ferrari have a damn good engine for 26, so they're probably going to have the best engine on the grid. But if they can build a chassis and get the technical aspects of that car right, then they at least reach that point where they have a championship winning car. So whether then Lewis wins one and bounces, Leclerc is in a space where he also has a championship winning car, which he can then at least win one or two more going into the new regs. But yeah, for me, I would also prefer Leclerc to win that championship, and Hamilton just getting the expertise in which helped them build that championship winning car. But yeah, that's probably going to be the best driver lineup on the grid, but also the one which is going to cause a lot of chaos, because I think Leclerc's only issue right now is he tends to be a little too nice. But
Yeah.
once maybe that this guy also will coming in will instill that that mindset of winning at all costs, at any cost. Sorry, at any cost is what maybe brings to the table. So I think it's yeah, it's confusing times for Ferrari fans. But if you look at it, I would say the pros probably outweigh the cons, maybe 51-49 or 55-45 percentage wise. So that is how I saw this and how I am seeing it, and I've told myself this is, you have to accept that this is happening.
But
So
Yeah, if you
that's
look at it
that's
I
from
how I
a
would,
see it.
broader perspective, then I think if you look at it from a 10-year perspective, then it's a good thing for Ferrari, Lewis coming in.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
sure about that, very honestly, because
Hmm.
my outlook on this is, why fix something that is not broken? So you have a really, I think, arguably the best driver lineup on the grid, two
Hmm.
people who complement each other really well. Leclerc, Sainz, both are young. You have something for the future. So I don't see the sense in, yeah, it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is. Yeah, you have to. I
Yeah,
mean,
I would.
there are
Yeah,
two ways of looking at this, but one thing
yeah, I
Shashu also
would.
mentioned, which I think you
Yeah, I would.
also kind of agreed on, is wait, one second. I'll just finish this then, because it was very good points that both of you all said. I thought I'll just add to that, was the
Mhm.
culture at Ferrari. I think they are now moving towards improving that culture and perception of Ferrari. So I think Lewis Hamilton, with all his causes like Shashu you mentioned, maybe there is something to it that which will help improve the culture. And I think they want to draw younger audience to even buying Ferrari, as a product. So maybe that's also, I think I completely agree with both of you all on that point. Yeah, Sashu, sorry. Yeah, you were saying.
No, I just was going off what Mayank was saying, that I think if
Hmm.
Lewis had a 4 year or a 5 year deal, then I would have said that, you know what, I don't think it's a great move from them. But because it's just a 2 year deal, I think it's I tend to feel like it could be a win-win situation for Lewis and for Ferrari, looking at it 10 years down the line. If it was a 4 5 year thing, then I think it would have been a win for Lewis more than Ferrari. But again, we don't know what happens
Mm.
after 2 years. So
Yeah, I
we
agree.
probably can, yeah, we can probably wait till then. If Lewis is still going to be there in Ferrari after that
Yeah,
2 years, then I feel like they missed a little bit of a trick,
Then it's a
because I think
problem.
they could have, yeah, they could have just stuck
Yeah.
with younger people who would probably help them do better, not only in the present but even in the future championships.
yeah,
No, I agree with you. I think it's the fact that it's a short term deal kind of, adds more pros than the
Yeah.
cons. Yeah,
yeah.
I
I mean, I
completely
think
agree
we
with
just,
you.
I, I think you just need more time for this to set in, and then the season gets going. I
So,
think
so my
I'll
my
start
Yeah.
going
question
to
again
the league.
is, so my question that just came to my mind is, if it's a 2 year deal with Lewis,
Hmm.
then if Lewis goes out of Ferrari, then who comes in is something that even I don't know. I just started contemplating right now, because like Mayank said, why break something that isn't broken? And you break that partnership for this 2 years of
Hmm.
glory or whatever you want to call it, and then if Lewis decides to bounce or
Yeah,
retire, then who comes in? Because you've probably lost Carlos. I don't want to say for good, but you're definitely going to put a dent in the person's mind, in his psyche, in his confidence, when you let him go.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
the
is.
implications of this are far greater than just losing Carlos. I think because now the
My God,
reshuffle.
Mayank, that is like the Oracle speaking.
So yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we're gonna see. I mean, we're gonna probably lose chance of seeing Albon and Ferrari.
Hmm.
By this, we're also gonna lose. I don't know, some more new drivers that are currently in F2 that would. Yeah, I'm going too far ahead, but yeah, I think the
No, no.
implications
I
will be
think
far.
there's a plan in place, 2 years and out for Lewis, for him and for Ferrari. Both of them feel, it's going to be 2 years.
Yeah, even I feel
Whether
like
he
it's a
wins a
2 years
championship or
thing.
not,
Like,
I don't think he's going to go
yeah,
beyond
yeah.
26. And in terms of who then comes in place of Hamilton, because I think unless they really screw it up with Leclerc, I think Leclerc would be okay winning at least one championship with Ferrari, unless he feels there is no chance and they've got the regulations completely wrong in 26. I think he'll be one of those guys who will probably be with Ferrari for a majority of his career. In case, I don't know if he's going to be one of those guys who will go like Lewis and Fernando into their 40s, but I
Mm,
think he's their golden boy.
yeah,
And beyond that, to replace Lewis, I think it's too far in the future, because you don't know who's coming through F2. There's this guy called Kimi Antonelli, I
Antonelli.
think, who's a Mercedes kid who's supposedly quite incredible. But I think they
Yeah,
will then go for some. But I think Ferrari also, they tend to go one experienced and one Charles Leclerc type. So they actually changed it for the first time when they had Charles and Sainz in the same team.
yeah,
Otherwise, from history, if you look at it, Ferrari always have one marquee driver who's a clear number one, and there is a number two who's there to just pick up the pieces, right from Michael
But
Schumacher.
I
Then
think
you
even
had
with
Fernando Alonso.
Vettel and Kimi was definitely the number two, but
Yeah.
he wasn't like somebody who was there to just pick up the pieces. but he was a clear number
No, but
two.
he
But
was never
again, it
going to
wasn't.
challenge
Yeah, yeah, he
you.
wasn't going to
I
challenge
never
Vettel, and he was at
faced
both
that.
of them. It wasn't like one was young and one was slightly inexperienced. I think both were equally experienced, but obviously, I think it was
Yeah,
a
That's true.
well-established fact
That's
that
true.
Vettel was going to be the one who was going to take the priority for challenging for the championship.
yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
but I think, but generally the trend is that they do that bifurcation between number one and number two. There is definitely not. It's going to be a problem with Lewis and Charles for sure. So that's a change in the way Ferrari are also thinking. So perhaps your whole point around the culture at Ferrari and the old traditions now need to die out, because they've obviously seen that the game has moved forward, and maybe they have to also start moving forward in more ways than one, I would say. So maybe that's a sign of where they're going, that they have to that absolute thirst to win has to come back into the whole system at Ferrari F1, which I
Yeah,
think they won that championship with Giovinazzi. They won. Was it Le Mans? No, it's not Le Mans. It was that with their car. I know. They won Le Mans. They won I think Le
not
Mans only. I don't know. Not sure. Shit, that Evo car. That's so they kind of that has injected one little sense of pride that we need to start winning. So let's see. Maybe it's one of the reasons why they've gone for this move. But yeah, having said that, Carlos was a very popular figure amongst all. I don't think uh, anyone dislikes Carlos. Leave Ferrari, but anywhere else in the paddock or any F1 fan likes Carlos Sainz. So I think
Yeah, agreed.
he will be missed. Just for the way he is, and he's a very technically gifted guy in terms of bringing in nuances to improve the machinery. I think he is maybe half a tenth behind Charles and Max and Lewis and Fernando in terms of absolute pace, but he's very, very talented with understanding the car, nuances of development of the car. So I'm sure he'll be
Yes,
heavily
I would say
missed at
he's probably a little better
Ferrari.
at developing a car than Leclerc at this point. Leclerc, I think, has the speed, has a little bit of a speed advantage over Sainz, but I think Sainz,
Hmm.
I don't know, even going
Hmm.
into the future, I think he would have been a great guy to develop a car around.
yeah.
Which I think
I,
Audi is going to do at the end. I think Audi is going to get him in and try to develop the car around him. But let's see.
what
Let's see.
what do you what do you think
Hmm.
about his future though? Do you think that there is a chance that he goes to say a Mercedes or something, or even a Red Bull that's open for 2025 as well? Do you
I
see that happening?
hmm.
I
Shashi, what
think
do
he
you
might
think?
go
What is
to
your
I think he might go to a Red Bull or a Mercedes because I don't think he's given up on that dream of his of becoming a world championship. So I'm okay with him, going to Audi in the near future and developing a car,
hmm.
etc., is one thing. But I think everybody gets into the sport or gets into F1 with that goal of becoming a world championship, the world champion, and I think he he would probably. I see him in the near future going to a stronger team or a little more well established team to challenge for the world championships because I don't think he's actually given up on that dream. So I won't be surprised if he gets a Merc or a Red Bull seat, to be honest.
Yeah.
What do you think, man? What's going to happen?
So yeah, I gave this a lot of thought honestly. So there are two things that happens because of Lewis moving. One,
Hmm.
one the obvious, Carlos has to find a new team. The second one would be Albon having to find a new team. So now thinking about who Red Bull would go for, I somewhere I do think that yeah, they would like to have Albon back again because yeah, for whatever reason, Max, absolutely, he had that 1 year with Max, the full season where it didn't work out quite well. But I think they haven't fully given up on him. But at the same time, I don't think they've fully shut the door on Ricciardo's return as well. So that's something that would be interesting to see next year. As for Sainz, I think I do see him going to Mercedes more than to to Red Bull, because I
Red
think
Bull.
that makes a lot more
Yeah, I think I
sense for
agree with
him
that, Mayank.
personally. And also, I think the only thing is, I don't know how the equation between Russell and Sainz would be. That is, again, you have
Yeah,
two people
Georgie is
who
not easy. Georgie is not an easy guy. Greco
that would
is
be a hard thing as well. Yeah. But then you have, like you said, you mentioned, you just threw this name into the mix. Antonelli,
hmm,
he's a Mercedes junior driver. He's
hmm,
Italian. He's driving for, I think it's his debut season in F2. There's a lot of hype around
yeah.
him. So if Mercedes want to do something very different, I also see that as a possibility. And then yeah, then the question is what happens to science then? Yeah, you just have to look at this season, I think.
I also don't think Sainz will
Yeah.
go to Mercedes. I think Sainz's journey, what I would want, like for him would be to do a year at Red Bull
Mm,
in 25, and then I think I think either way he's going to go to Audi in 26. I don't see any change in that. Hopefully he doesn't go into a stake F1 for 2025 and then go to the Audi route, because honestly at stake F1 those two drivers, I don't know why they are still on the grid, Bottas and Zhou. Both of them, Zhou is a very lukewarm driver in terms of he doesn't do anything. He's not even like a Logan Sargent. He's in the news for the wrong reasons. He's just not in the news. He's not doing anything on the track. He's just there. And
I
Bottas
think
is, I think, now going into the, he's just doing,
Yeah, he's going
naked
into the twilight
calendars
years,
and
I
just
think, of
having a
his
gala
yeah,
time.
twilight
Exactly.
years of his career. Yeah,
He's in the
but I would,
twilight
I
years.
would,
Correct.
I think I would much
he's in
prefer Science going to a stake than not driving at all for that season, because I feel like uh, you want to be in that flow of
He'll
being
pakka be
in
there. Yeah,
races,
yeah,
yeah,
he'll be there.
competing, doing the qualifying sessions, the practice
yeah,
sessions, the races, doing the weekends. I don't want him to not be like with a seat. I would much rather see him in a not a very glamorous seat or not a very great seat, but getting 100 105 110% out of that car than not having a seat and just sitting it out.
agreed. Yeah, agreed. I
That
think,
I
yeah,
think he will get a seat. I think there's a very slim chance that he will not be on the grid on 25. It's just a case of, what suits him and what suits the teams that have seats available. But I think that Albon also, like you said, Mayank is also a key,
key.
what do you say?
Yep. Yes, I think he's like
He's also
a
key to,
he's
yeah,
one of the pawns. Yeah,
he's a
he's one
key
of the
cog to
he's
this,
like a
yeah, he's
chess.
a
Yeah,
key cog to this
he's
whole,
like a chess game now,
yeah,
and he's definitely in the mix. He's one of the
yeah,
I don't know,
he's in
like
the
one of the
mix. He's in the mix.
yeah, one of the
I
people
I
in
just
the
read.
mix. And I
I
would,
think there was this article that yeah, I was saying I just read
yeah,
this
man.
article today that Red Bull has. Sorry, I think you're breaking up.
No, no, continue, man. I can hear
Yeah.
you.
So what I was saying is, I just read this article today that Red Bull has offered Albon like a first say to joining them in 2026, I believe, 2025 rather.
2025, okay.
So they offered, I don't know, it's just speculation, I think, but
Hmm.
they told him that, yeah, when you eventually do leave your seat at Williams, you have
Hmm.
say on going to Red Bull rather than the other option, which I would assume would be Mercedes, judging by how well he does this season, of course.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think I
I
see
don't know. Yeah,
Albon going
I
to
don't
Red
know
Bull more than
why.
Ricciardo.
Hmm. Yeah,
I don't know. I know everyone rates Albon very highly. I don't think he's that good. he's a guy who overperforms in a team which is, mid-table or back of the grid. He's I think he can't take that stress and pressure of being part of that, you know, Red Bull or Mercedes. I think he's good where he is only. I don't rate him as highly as most people do.
Could be because if you look at his teammates as well, it's been Latifi and
Yeah,
Logisa. So
And
more
correct.
Logan,
experience to
yeah.
them, but they are
Logan.
they're just not at that level. So yeah, I think Albon has absolutely aced both of them in qualifying and in terms of race pace as well. But
Hmm.
whether it is something to
Yeah.
say that he deserves a seat at a higher team, it's something you can agree to disagree.
Time will tell. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think Science will definitely be on the grid 25. I'm not too sure whether Red Bull will take that risk with Albon. Maybe, but Albon back to Red Bull, it's a win-win for both because Albon knows the team, they know what he's capable
yeah,
of, and maybe for him it's retribution. It's like a chance to really show himself again. But the problem he will also face again is like it's not like Max Verstappen is going to go on a siesta, so he has to still compete against him in a team and in a car that's based around him, which he had given a really nice. I mean, he had come on another podcast which Joshua and me saw, where he specifically said, "What is it about Max Verstappen that makes him very unique in his driving style?"
hmm,
So I don't know. It's yeah. It could be his chance to make a point, or it could also completely backfire.
yeah,
But only time will tell. But yeah, he's a very important keg in this whole domino effect which has started with Lewis. Quickly, I think we should just touch upon the other elephant currently in the F1 room, which is what's happening with Christian and the allegations. Obviously, uh, innocent until proven guilty, but that could be a little bit of an issue for the team going into the new season in terms of a distraction more than anything else. So I don't know, maybe Christian will get pissed off with Red Bull and go and join Haas. When Gunther is not, and Gunther comes to Red Bull, and he'll say, "Let's go back, several places in the field." Because I don't know what, like Shashu and me, though I've like always, I think we were on the same page with this and with Gunther Steiner that he's very funny and he's got a personality, and perhaps Haas needed that or need that now. But in terms of his ability and I mean, driving that team in a direction, obviously Gina is not giving money and all, but it just seemed to become like a team which was just having a gala time and really didn't really care where they were in terms of the standings. So I think that was coming. Now, not to say that Gene Haas has covered himself in glory, but I think that's something that was coming. But this whole Christian issue now, I think, could be a problem for Red Bull in terms of distraction, and maybe the likes of Ferrari can pounce and take advantage of that, the confusion and chaos around what's happening at the top at Red Bull. Also, there was, I don't know if you guys read about this, something which was in the news for a lot of last season, was there was some issues between Helmut Marko and Christian Horner also, in terms of who's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
big
that was there
boss.
in yeah, that was
I
there
didn't,
in the
I
news
didn't know
sometime
about
back, last championship.
that.
So let's
But I
see.
feel like whatever
But
is happening with Christian is just going to blow over, and I don't think it's going to affect them too much come the 2024 season. I think it'll all be sorted out before that, but because I think everybody's going to realize that there's too much to lose with, like you said, the
yeah, I hope
distraction
so.
that
I
it
mean,
could
I
be.
hope so
Yeah.
for him. I think as much as he's an adversary for all Ferrari fans, I think he's very important to the sport and obviously to Red Bull. So I definitely hope that he's able to come out of it, and it just kind of blows over. And hopefully, it's an incorrect accusation, and we can only speculate.
Yeah,
Uh,
I also completely agree with you guys. I think come when, for example, when the testing starts or when the season starts, I think
mm,
this will all blow over, and yeah, we're all back to
Yeah, I
normal
think we are
again.
all going to just focus on the track.
Yeah,
which it should be. It's Drive to Survive first will come
Yeah,
before the
agree.
track
Yes.
action starts, so that mirchi masala will come in our heads first. Then you'll, Mayank, all your peers, you'll find the Drive to Survive guys giving their Hazar Gyan on, about Christian Honor. You saw how he was talking in episode 3. Pakka, he did something. Arey, last season also I saw he was saying like this only. Pakka, he did something. So all these characters, these clowns will come and give their analysis of Christian Horner,
Yeah, I mean,
his,
I
what he could or could not have done, and forgotten about what is happening on the track, because that is not of paramount importance for these guys anyways. It's the
yeah, I hate to
the
sound cynical,
drama,
but I feel like
the
it's just a
drama around it.
marketing thing, even for the Drive to Survive season. That you know what, we need to watch this for all the reasons that have already been there in our mind. But then there is one more reason where you know what we want to see what Christian Honor has been saying and how he's been communicating with people. So we have that 1% more of an inclination to watch this
Reason to see.
years, yeah, reason to,
that's
yeah, to see
that's
Drive
true.
to Survive 2024. I just feel like I just have no faith in the Drive to Survive man anymore.
Yeah, I have no faith in the world, man. What Drive to Survive?
Yeah, faith in the world only,
This is just a
So Drive to
small drop
Survive,
in the
yeah,
ocean,
Drive to Survive is basically just it's giving what most of the audience
part of the
wants.
world.
Yes, so
What
unfortunately we are
audience
like
want? They
the
want mirchi. They want
extreme
masala.
minority. We are, yeah,
We'll go
correct.
and yeah, in that testing also, we'll be one of the few guys who will be like looking at the lap times and see, then figure out who's talking about what on the other podcast. There's some of these guys who actually go have a chance to go on track. They'll do analysis of the race runs as opposed to qualifying. Visually, who's braking properly, turn in, is it looking sharp on this thing? On the other side, these fellas will say, "Arey, that Christian on, arey, that Toto also he did something. It seems you heard or what?"
Yeah, it is what I think we are heading
Eh,
into. But yeah, I think the but do you think the pros of Drive to Survive kind of outweigh the cons?
For the
Like,
sport, unfortunately, they do. I think for Formula One, from at least from my experience, I think Shashu also would concur. Is that as a sport, it had just gotten flat, and it was just the same
yeah,
thing. There was zero innovation. It
Yeah,
was the fans were
correct.
just they were
I think
in a
so.
room of 10
I
people. If it was Shashu and me, we would probably be the only people who know. But there'll be one guy who would have heard about F1, and he'll be like, that Michael Schumacher, no, like that type fans. Now, if you go in a room of 10 people, you probably find 6 people or 7 people who have a reasonable understanding, basic level of knowing about the sport. The number of guys who know technically what's what would probably still be few, but at least it's gotten to a lot more, a larger audience base, younger audience base, and there is a lot of interesting innovation happening in terms of whether people like it or not. I also don't like few things. I like few things in terms of what Liberty is doing. But under Bernie Eccleston, it had become
Yeah,
It was
stagnant. It's
stagnant. It
going
wasn't
nowhere.
going anywhere. I think we spoke about it also. I think in one of the earlier episodes where we said, yeah, we're good with the Drive to Survive, and it's pro that is getting in new people is something
Purpose.
that was absolutely needed for the sport. But I feel like the people who are making
yeah,
it should probably have a little bit of a confidence and see what direction they want to take it and tweak a few aspects of it and probably get it more to the on track and on field and I think more racing biased
Hmm.
than where it kind of went into. So it should be there. I think it definitely has a place in F1, but just maybe tweak
Yeah,
the format and what they are looking
the
at
format. Yeah,
putting
keep it
putting out
fresh.
there. keep it fresh, but keep it more focused, or little more focused on the track than it has been in the last, I think, 2 seasons. That's it. Yeah, everybody wants
True.
their
Yeah.
masala, everybody likes a little bit of masala. Like we said, we all have our guilty pleasures. We want to see, some drama happening, which is great. Even I enjoy a little bit of drama, but I think, probably, stick to the track a
Yeah,
little
but
more
not
than the drama.
and yeah, I think where Drive to Survive is a little bit guilty and very guilty is they manufacture drama where there is none. So yeah, that
Correct.
part I
Yeah.
don't.
Absolutely correct. Hit the nail on the head. The two things I
Yeah,
don't like about Drive to Survive is his manufactured drama. That literally there are two guys in the same team that get along very well, but they'll come up with some bullshit storyline which everyone like, what does it even mean? And then the second part is Will Buxton. I can't stand that fellow. He'll come like if you finish first, that if you cross the finish line first, that means you won the race and all. It's just so dumb that it's like, I mean, even
Listen,
someone who's
Will Buxton is
first
for the
time
guy
in.
who, for the guys and girls who have absolutely no clue about the sport. So he's basically for them that, when
Will.
the driver finishes or crosses the checkout flag, that means he has won the race, and the guy coming in behind him is number two, and the other guy is number three, and these three people will go on to these three steps, which is called the podium. Like, yeah, great.
Through the podium. No, 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 I'm just not a fan of Will. Also, I'm just not a fan of that fellow. Couple of things, Mark. I think specifically one thing that we would really love to hear from you is just generally, given that you're in the Netherlands, I want to understand. Now, like we say, from an Indian context, in a room of 10 people, maybe 5 or 6 people or 7 people, at least know about it or I've heard about the sport because of Drive to Survive. So I want to just get a sense of among people that you've met in university in general. Are there a lot of people following the sport? And the follow up question to that is, given you're in the Netherlands, what's the support like for Max, and what are the conversations around Max?
well, I mean, when I compare this to India, yes, I think Formula One is much more popular here. Of course, India is a very growing market, but I think Europe in general, Formula One has always been popular, and I think it's growing more so because in the Netherlands because of Max. I think what he's done is really great, and yeah, I don't think it will ever be done again like what he did last season. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is a growing audience, and I think what most of the Max fan, like most of the Dutch people, yeah, they are big fans of Max Verstappen, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, a lot of there is a portion of the audience that also considers him to be not really Dutch. They think he's because he comes from the border of the Netherlands and Belgium, so the kind of address
Yeah.
non-Red Bull fans address to him as, for example. So yeah, that's always a bit of mockery that happens. But yeah, I think he's very popular here. He's a poster boy
Mm.
for one of the biggest grocery supermarkets here. So yeah,
Grocery
everywhere.
supermarkets. What is he
Yeah.
selling?
So
Grocery
on his
supermarket is the
Dairy
last thing
products,
I thought
bro.
about.
Cheese. He's selling
Interesting.
cheese.
if you I mean like the supermarket. So if you see on his cap as well, there's something
Hmm.
called Yumbo. So
Uh-huh.
Yumbo is actually a big supermarket store here. So yeah, he's like if you go everywhere
Oh,
where there's a
interesting. I
Yumbo,
did
he'll
not
always
know this.
That is
yeah.
damn interesting. I'm super interested that what he's advertising and what he's like, where you can see him in terms of his face and his this thing on supermarket. I would have thought he would be on some other kind of hoarding, some other brands or whatever. But the fact that he's in supermarket means I think it also, I think, connects with, everyday Dutch people who, go to stores and
Yes,
also. I
exactly.
think
Correct.
he's part of the, it gets him closer to the masses as such with the Dutch people,
I
I think.
I think so. Yeah, I mean he doesn't make it very easy to like him, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, he's
but
not got any personality. He's just an extremely fast driver. That's pretty much it. I mean, the only thing I would say is good about him is that he at least doesn't do any bullshit. No bullshit talk. It's just like straight up. He'll say what he has to say, and he's just okay with it. He's got no personality, so he's the only thing is he's just an incredible driver. That it pretty much ends there. There's
Yeah, but
nothing more or nothing less. Yeah.
there's no denying the fan following that he has. So if you go to, I think if you go to the races in the Netherlands and the Belgium, there's a
Hmm.
sector where you only see orange,
It's
and
only
they're called
orange.
the army. So and there's orange smoke blowing everywhere. So yeah, the Dutch team
Yeah,
can
Yes.
yeah,
be
correct.
very good about the sport as well. So yeah, and
Yeah.
about Max in general, I think he's big for them. Yeah,
Any plans of going? You haven't seen a race live as yet, no? So I think any
not yet.
chances of going this time for the Dutch Grand Prix
I did want
or
to.
any other Grand Prix?
I did want to go for the Dutch Grand Prix, but I think the ticket prices are
Hmm.
exorbitant. And also,
Exorbitant.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they're
just
that expensive. And
even,
You can
especially
always
for the
go to
Dutch Grand
Belgium.
Prix,
No,
I
I think
think,
it's
because
not very far.
Belgium is something I'm seriously considering this time. Yeah, because
Yeah, you
as
should
a
consider
track as
it
well, I
because we
would
don't know how
rather
much time it's going
watch
to be
at the
there on the calendar. Because everybody wants street circuits, like we
yeah
discussed
yeah,
last
yeah,
time. And
we've
Belgium
already
being a
written
very
our
old track, yeah,
yeah.
yes. So you should just, if you want to do Belgium, just probably do that sooner rather than later, is what I would say.
probably.
What's the cheapest thing to do, Mayank? If yeah, I mean some of these ticket prices, especially I think Dutch Grand Prix will be extremely high because you've got
Yeah,
Max at its
even
at his
so,
peak and all. Everyone want to watch it, so high
besides
demand.
the entrance, I think you have your general admission tickets
You should
where
do general admission, man. General admission, if you find the right space, general admission gives you pockets of places that you can go to. And generally, not generally, sometimes you can get very lucky in terms of, where you end up for general admission. And yeah, it's pretty much you don't have access to a lot of food and all of that, but then you can just take your own stuff and go because you're there to see the race, and you're there to probably see cars going really quickly. The other thing around it and all, that you can that honestly you can give it a miss. So general admission tickets generally are also reasonably priced, and what
yeah
you should do is you should, again, it's demand and supply, and the thing is Formula One sells off all tickets beforehand to resellers, and these resellers hoard these tickets and shoot up the price. So
yeah
there is a sweet spot in terms of when you can buy the tickets. Try to buy them too early, they are very expensive. Try to buy too close to the race, they're too expensive. You have to find that little bit of middle ground, maybe a 45 to 60 days before the race. You go and check out on these resellers, you'll probably get a good deal
yeah.
because
I think that's the plan
yeah.
because even for example, last year the Dutch Grand Prix was, if you remember, was so chaotic.
Yeah,
I
it
will
was mad. Yeah.
if it rains in the Netherlands, yeah, and it most likely it will because yeah,
Hmm.
it's always raining here. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's interesting. It would be interesting to go for that.
No, but I mean, I'm still fascinated. Next time you go to that supermarket, you take a picture and send me. I want to see Max's face on a supermarket, what he's selling and what they're saying.
Yeah, even for me, it was very
Yeah,
I
interesting
would
to know that
really
he's
not have
a,
seen
yeah,
this.
he's the face of a grocery chain. Nice.
He's a man of the people. Cool, man. Let's just finish with one last this thing. Let's look at your your personal crystal ball for the 2024 season. What are your what are world champion? How many people are going? I mean, how many teams are going to win races? And generally just get an idea and a sense of how you're seeing the new season panning out. Your hot takes. Your hot takes from a very cold Netherlands.
well, I think I think Red Bull will continue to be dominant. That's my first thing. I think they will
Arey,
again.
they're flat. Hmm.
Max Verstappen will dominate the season again. I do see Ferrari winning three to
Hmm.
four, 3 to 4 races, hopefully, if I'm being
Hmm.
optimistic. I also do see Mercedes making somewhat of a comeback. So not maybe win one the odd race or two.
Hmm.
And yeah, I also see probably Alonso doing what Alonso does. And yeah, putting that car consistently on the podium.
You're
Yeah,
still bullish about Aston Martin for this season.
I do think I don't see them winning a race, but I do
Hmm.
think they'll be there, like fighting for, yeah, fourth, fifth place, maybe the odd
Hmm.
podium.
Hmm.
Yeah, I haven't spoken about McLaren yet, but yeah,
Hmm.
even they seem to have developed their car really well the back end of last season. It would be interesting to see how they go about it, because they have this tendency to start the season very badly and then they kind of catch up in the
Yeah,
latter
they
half.
can't do these kind of things. Like, I mean,
So
everyone was going gaga over there. The fact that they improved so much. But the pessimist in me is saying that why do you even have to start off at such a
yeah,
low point? I
so I,
mean,
I
that is also not
don't
something which is like settled. Hmm.
I don't trust them fully yet. I still so yeah, I think it just time will tell eventually. And yeah, I think the other side of the table, I think Haas will just be there on the grid
Hmm.
just for the sake of.
Yeah, Haas. Seriously, man. Like I wish Andretti just buys Haas and it's a joke. Haas is really one of the biggest jokes of Formula One right now. I mean, they don't do anything. They had that one guy in that Gunther who was actually at least if you look at if I were to look at it not from a from a racing standpoint, but at least there was some personality and there was something people were looking forward to with Haas, and I think they had their fan following all for Gunther. Now that also is gone. They're the most pointless team on the grid. I don't know what their purpose is. Very yeah, it's just completely pointless. Sachu, let's put you on the spot. What is your hot take for 2024 for the season? Well before testing, what is that one prediction you want to make that you want to stick with? Like let's document that, Mayank. Let's put it in the world and let's document it as well. Let's hot take from 11th February, well before the season starts, well before testing starts. In fact, not all the cars have been revealed also. So what is
Yeah,
your that one hot take that you want to give?
Uh, I don't know. I think Lewis Hamilton will finish second in the championship and then go to Ferrari, which
Second.
is weird, but yeah, that's yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Not saying first he'll finish second and then go to Ferrari, but
so then you
yes. So I don't know for the championship. I think it's going to be number one against Red Bull. Number two, I think will be McLaren.
Mm-hmm.
Number three will be Ferrari. Number four, Mercedes.
but
Number
then
four,
you're saying
Mercedes.
but then
Yeah,
you're
even
saying
though Lewis is going to finish second in the World Championship, George will be so bad that they'll be number four.
that's a controversial take.
Ba 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 ba. Too much. Interesting. But you said Lewis second in the championship, no?
In the championship.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, second in the
Interesting. My.
championship, but yeah, Mercedes as a team will be fourth. I think McLaren is going to
Hmm.
be second because I
Hmm.
feel like
Hmm.
they have a pairing that is set and it's kind of going to be stable. I feel like with the whole move of Carlos not going to be there in Ferrari is going
Hmm.
to be a little bit of a not the greatest of experiences for the team or for the driver. So they'll probably
Hmm.
finish third. But then, yeah, Mercedes is going to finish fourth, I think.
But you're backing Red Bull to win the team championship also.
Yeah, I think he's going to win the
Constructors.
team. Yeah, yeah, constructors also because I feel like Max and the team and the car are just too in
Then
sync. Or they were too much in sync even the previous year. So I think how much ever it's not going to repeat itself like Mayank said. Like he's not going to have as great a year as he had 2023. But yeah, I think it's still going to be a great year for Max and Red Bull. Sergio again, he's probably going to have a similar year as he did in 2023, and we can all say goodbye to him. I think at the end of 2024, he's going to retire, and he might become a test driver for
For Haas.
yeah, for Haas.
Stake F1. Oh, Haas.
Steak, or maybe Audi. But yeah, he's definitely not going to be on the grid in 2025.
That
And
was huh.
yeah, one more prediction is Gunther is going to get a spin-off and have a show of his own on
Show.
Netflix or
I thought
whichever.
spin
Yeah,
off and start
whichever.
his own championship.
Oh, no.
They
First
could.
have the show, getting the money, and then after that start the championship.
Oh, my
Because I think
hot
people,
take. Hmm.
yeah, I think people respect him more as a entertainer than a businessman or somebody who can run
Run run a
his
team
own
principle.
championship.
Hmm.
So yeah, as just a business guy. So I think he's going to first do a spin-off, do a show, try and make in the money, and then get a FIG, if you want to call it that.
FIG.
Yeah, I mean
FI guy
whatever,
is
and
spinning off a
Gunther.
full FIG. He's not even going. He's not going to be part of FI also. He's just going to spin off into his whole FIG.
I wouldn't put it past him though. Yeah, he's very much.
Yeah, my
Anyway,
hot take for
what
the
is your
season
hot take?
is very clear. My hot take is Max will win the championship by less than 100 points, but Red Bull will not win the constructors. Red Bull, Perez is
So
going to
who's
be
going to win the
unbelievably
constructors?
bad, worse than his
I
constructors
can.
is going to go to McLaren. I just feel they had too much momentum from last season with their. Actually, I let me not even bet on who's going to win the constructors. Let me not go into that because I'm just thinking Lando, while he was exceptional, I think Piastri still got a long way to go in racing. I mean, in his racing, keeping his tires and managing races. But I think Red Bull will not be winning the constructors. Max will win the world championship, but Red Bull will not win the constructors. That is my hot take on a hot day in Hyderabad. Unlike Mayank. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Mike, it was great having you on the show. We'll
Thank you
probably
for
have
having me.
you as part of a larger kind of audience as we try to build this and try to do interesting stuff once the season starts.
Yeah,
Uh, so that's but it was great to get a perspective from someone who's younger, A, and B, also living in another country and in another continent which is already ingrained. Formula is ingrained in the
yeah,
psyche and in the mindsets in sport in general. So great to have you. So see you on the next one.
yeah.
uh See you
Guys,
guys.
yeah.
See you everyone. Sashu, are you there? Yeah, cool. Ciao. Ciao. See you. See you. See you. Bye.
See you guys.